What is up, YouTube? Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard the Soul Train for the next, hour or so. Jay Pink and I are going to be burning down your structures little by little. Hopefully, no fires tonight. But what we are going to do is a lawn care help desk. We're going to do our often requested, rarely have time to execute the call-in show. If you are interested in calling in, feel free to give us a call at 304-80-GRASS, 304-80-GRASS. But I want to put out a couple of caveats before we get into that. And number one is please understand that everything I say is based on my experience and my education. People with different experience and different education are going to have different methods to get to the overall end same result. Understand that some of the things I may say, I may make a mistake when I say. I am human. I am fallible. Sometimes I'll think I'm talking about cool season grass and I'll give an answer for warm season grass. Always double check everything that comes out of my mouth. Understand that sometimes I just flub. And then also understand there's going to be some things I just flat out don't know the answer to. I might be able to get to it, but I may not. So I just want to apologize on the front end that if I don't know the answer to your question, I don't know everything. Again, this is all based off my experience, my education, and people with differences may have a different thought on it, but that's okay. That being said, we had a lot of action in the room here before we actually got started, which was great. Lots of questions, a little bit about it. The fumicide, a lot of people clearly still working with some seed information. I had one person even ask about Mazama. And, like I'll give you a perfect example of something I don't understand. They were asking for a shade-tolerant Kentucky bluegrass that blended well with Mazama. And I just have no idea at all where to even begin with that. I would start with the in-depth trials and then try and cross-reference textures that most closely match Mazama. So kind of a weird thing you got there. And it sounds like we have our first caller. Caller, you're live.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
How you doing, man?
I'm good. You're on the lawn care help desk. How can I help you, sir?
I was going to say thank you to Matt for giving me the advice on my soil test earlier this year.
Is this Barry?
It's Barry.
Barry, what are you doing, sir?
Watching TV and talking to you right now.
Yeah, I hear you. If you don't mind, turn down the radio in the background a little bit there. I guess that's your TV, huh?
Yeah, I just
did. I could kind of catch it in the background there. It was bleeding through my microphone. Well, good. I honestly do not remember off the top of my head, but what recommendations were made to you. But I assume the grass did not die.
No, it didn't die. I had to cut it more than I wanted to, and it all worked out well. You guys told me about a 111, so I went with a 19. Got my pH adjusted a little bit.
And that worked out well for you?
Yes, it did. Thank you very much, man.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. Barry, refresh my memory. What part of the country are you in?
Massachusetts.
Oh, Lord have mercy. We got a damn masshole on the line. Do you know Lushy?
Kind of life.
Are you really? You up there near Lushy?
I'm close to him. I think he's like near Worcester. I'm a little more west than him. But I'm friends with him on Instagram or that other thing.
No, I hear you. I don't. Yeah, I mean, really, Massachusetts as a state is not big, so I'd say you're all really neighbors, right?
Well, it's got different climates. You go on to Cape Cod and it's one way. It's like North Carolina weather, and you get in the middle and it's like totally different. And the west is in the hill towns.
No, I hear you. That's
so for a little state,
that's all Greek to me.
Yeah, You have to come up and visit sometime.
I would, but I'm scared of the North, Barry. I'm not gonna lie. I'm scared of the North. I talk funny. I've got a real goofy ass accent, and I've got this odd feeling that I go up there and someone's gonna end up kicking my ass.
Nah, I don't think so. That's not gonna happen.
Well,
We're
listen.
friends.
Yeah, I know. I'm just teasing. Somebody said Barry follows Lushy on MySpace. I don't know if that's the case. Barry, thanks for calling in. I'm glad it worked out for you. If there's anything else we can help with, please let me know. Thank you, sir.
No, I was going to throw down the last bag of Carbon X, and you already answered that question.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Yeah, get rid of it. Tell it rest in peace. Pour cold beer over the empty bag when you're done, and call it good.
Yeah, that's what I was planning on doing.
All right, sir. Well, it was good talking to you.
Man.
Yeah, man.
Nice talking to you too. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you. See, we're doing the live calls. Look at this. If you want to call in to be on air, 304-804-7277, 304-804-7277, or 304-80-GRASS. How about that one right there? Checking in from the chat real quick. A couple things. Turf Mechanic, my man Brian in the show. Glad to see you here, good sir. All right, man, cooking dinner. I forgot you're out there on the western portion of the U.S. where y'all probably still got a little bit of sunshine. Couple of questions here. Bill Super TA said, Matt, if my soil results show phosphorus very high, does that mean that the phosphorus in my soil is readily available? That is going to be more of an influence of your soil pH and the test methodology that was performed. However, as a general rule of thumb, if you're high in phos, you don't have to worry about applying it. No reason to go dumping a bunch of phos on the line. Caller, you're on the air.
Hey, Matt, this is Garrett Scott down in Birmingham, Alabama.
What's up, big dog?
I was calling to get your opinion on what is your opinion on applying Brix readings and leaf sap samples when it comes to turf grass?
Zero. Literally zero. There couldn't be anything more correlative towards anything less correlative towards turf performance than Brix or sap or tissue testing. It's just so unnecessary, especially in a home lawn setting. Where that is applicable is going to be in various agricultural settings, right? Because when you think about it, right, there, especially for like high yield type farmers, and I'll talk about corn because it's typically the easiest to relate to. But when you go from certain stages, like from, you're at your V stage and you're going to tassel, you have some kind of weird things take place within the plant, and you want to make sure nutrition wise that you are getting what is needed into the plant so you can maximize those yields. We don't grow turf grass for yield. We grow it for we're judged on how much of a quality playing surface it is, or in the instance of a home lawn, typically it's gauged by color, right? And you could argue that Brix plays some, kind of role in that, but all in all, no, not really. So there's I can't think of any reason in a home lawn or sports turf setting where measuring, monitoring, making adjustments based off Brix or tissue levels or sap levels would be necessary ever.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll apply a theory and I'll let you know what I find out. But I just wanted to see what your input was, and I appreciate it.
Tell me your theory. I'm curious. I want to know.
So there's a big push that especially when it comes to Brix, anything below a 13 or 13 or below is susceptible and attractive to pests and disease. Specifically when it comes to the plant's ability to produce certain sugars that then fight off individual insects depending on the level of Brix that it has. So depending on a certain level of Brix, it's attractive to certain levels of insects and disease, versus if it's a healthy enough plant, it can actually fight off by producing the certain sugars that fight off those insects and disease. And that's kind of, I was just curious as far as like inputs and stuff like that. Of course, at the end of the day, do you have an unhealthy lawn, it's going to be more desirable when it comes to disease and insects. And I just didn't know if there was anything that you were aware of, especially in the turf realm. You kind of focus on that. I know the fields don't cross always. And that's just kind of a theory as far as trying to apply less and still get great results, and focus on a healthy lawn is kind of where my theory is going. And I just didn't know if you had any inputs based on that.
Yes. Okay. So I will tell you that why I formed the where I stand right now is I used to be in that boat. That was what I that was what I did. Um, I was a big subscriber of that, and I went about it every which way imaginable to try and because for me, my big thing when I moved to Knoxville was how do I mitigate the brown patch pressure that I face here, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
was willing to do anything necessary to mitigate that. And there was a lot of BCSR at play. There was a lot of trying to promote the highest Brix content in the plant possible. And in terms of return on investment, I wouldn't say it was zero, but it was definitely no more than like 5%. So
Mm-hmm.
that was why I kind of went back towards turf centric research, right? And turf centric research shows that as long as you maintain really just what's quantified as a minimum level of sustainable nutrition, as long as you are in excess of that, then typically the genetics and cultivars that we have available to us today will maintain adequate Brix levels and the aspects of the plant. You can capitalize on those positive aspects of the individual genetics without having to go out there and make your specialty applications to try and drive up sugar levels in the plant. If you were using extremely old cultivars or something, your mileage may vary into a little bit more of the successful side. I don't know. It's a shot in the dark. But at least everything I've managed over the last, um, you know, 10, 12 years, no impact whatsoever.
And that makes sense based off of, especially because basic macro and micro and macronutrients that we apply through our fertilizer applications are very heavily linked to the overall health of the turf and its ability to fight off those sort of things. So I completely get that. An additional step that I'm going to try to take is in a tested environment, of course, is to as not only mitigate applications of those fertilizers, but even antifungals and pesticides as well, things of that nature, focusing on the soil health. And I completely get where you're coming from, and I'm not trying to go against what your research and your experience of many years have against my amateur status.
No,
not
at all.
Just a theory that I want to go off of.
It's worth a try. And I'll tell you,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll kind of put you through the life cycle I went through. The first year I felt optimistic. The second year I scratched my head. The third year I was banging my head against the wall. So that was kind of how it went. And then where I kind of redeemed myself is when I started top dressing with compost. I felt good about that. And, again, ran into another cycle of first year was good. Second year wasn't quite as good. Third year, I would start to kind of create problems for myself. So I'm curious if that will be a similar kind of life cycle that you'll experience on it, but I definitely don't want to detract you from it. Check it out. I think it's worth a shot. And, who knows? You may have the cultivar blend that tends to revel in that type of scenario. So check it out.
Okay, we'll find out. I'll let you know if we find out anything other than what you've already learned.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thank you for calling in.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.
All right, you too. What a great call. And see, I love that. My goodness, it has been it has been Many years, but so back when when we had John Ware on Thirsty Thursday. By the way, you could check that out on Thursday. We do a live show called Thirsty Thursday with my friends Ray Ito and Ryan DeMay. Awesome turfgrass professionals out there, way smarter than I am, and that's why I love having them on. And it gives us a unique perspective too, right? Because it's three totally wild ass different approaches to managing turf that you hear between us. But back in the lawn site days, ICT Organics was always crammed. I mean, it was everywhere. Sumagrow, ICT Organics, and man, I went all in on it, all in. And I tried it every which way imaginable, and it just never did perform well for me. It might for other people in different areas with different turf types, but for me and what I was doing here, it wasn't. Oh boy, caller, you're on the air. And we're out. One of the, if you do feel like calling in, 304-80 grass or 304-804-7277. And we got another one. Let's see what happens here. Hello, caller. Caller, you're on the air. We got a twofer there. We might be making some people nervous.
It was the same number. They might be having issues on their end.
I gotcha. Jeppa Del Monton said, seeded 3 days ago with untreated turf type tall fescue, concerned about fungus, had about a pythium and brown patch this late spring and summer. Can I apply azoxy propiconazole safely? Yes, you can. When? Now you can. Here's the thing, Jeppa, is if you are not in the conditions that are favorable for the development of disease, and I doubt you would be for pythium right now, you don't have the heat. Are you in conditions that are favorable for the development of brown patch? It's possible. It's possible, but it's been cool for the most areas of the transition zone that I've been looking at here recently. So unless you're in a weird area like maybe Texas or something like that, I would just say you're not in disease season. And what you're looking for is nighttime temperatures over 65, daytime temperatures, over 85, really, 80 to 85, somewhere in there, and high relative humidity. If you lack those three pieces, you kind of lack the disease triangle, and therefore the probability of you developing disease this late in the season is low. So I wouldn't deem it necessary. Caller, you're live.
Hello?
Caller?
Yes?
Caller, you're on the air. How can I help you, sir?
I just nuked my lawn, and I'm curious on what to do after that, after planting grass seed and cutting a few times.
Okay, so you nuked your lawn, you planted grass seed. You've already planted grass seed, right? And it's up and you've cut it a couple times.
Yeah, sorry, I thought I was talking to a robot, but now I recognize your voice. Yes, I did 80% Kentucky bluegrass and 20% perennial ryegrass. I'm in Northwest Chicago, Northern Illinois. I'm six weeks and 3 days into my renovation, so I'm using a manual reel mower. I'm cutting at about 1.5 inches. I had to overseed again just 2 weeks ago because I had some washout spots. But what I'm wondering is, when do I reduce water? I'm watering once a day now, and doing a 1707 once a week of liquid fertilizer. And I don't know where to go from here.
Yeah, so we'll keep this real easy. You can go ahead and cut your water now. And I would probably really ramp it back, maybe like 2 days a week, something like that, where
Okay.
a little bit of inducing a little bit of stress on the grass right now is not a bad thing. That's a good thing. And then
Sure.
the second piece of it would be, as far as your fertilizer is concerned, just keep running till you get to dormancy, right? Whatever you got on hand, even if it's just straight urea, there's no reason to do anything tricky or try to school it up or jazz it up or anything right now. Whatever you got, now's the time to just use it up, blow through your inventory, and be done with it. I would say
should I stick to a liquid, or should I? Because I'm about to run out of dissolvable fertilizer. I have a 1707 powder that dissolves. Should I just go to a granular?
Yeah. If you got a granular on the shelf, or you got to go buy something or whatever, yeah, just go get the cheapest bag of urea that you can. And really, where you would want to time it, probably in your area, I would say sometime around October 15th to October 30th. Put down a half pound of actual nitrogen, and then let it lie till next year, and that's about all you need to worry about.
Okay. Yeah, my first frost is the 10-year average is the 15th of October, roughly. So
Perfect. So yeah, I'd say right there on the 15th, get your last app down, half pound in, your gravy train.
And should I stick with like a quarter to a half a pound a week of nitrogen until then?
Wow, that's a lot. I know. So
it is a lot. I haven't been doing that. I've been doing 17% of a pound every week is what I've been doing currently.
Yeah, I think that's fine, even if you space that out, because your growth probability is slowing quite significantly right now. So I would say every 2 weeks, 0.17 pounds every 2 weeks, would probably be sufficient right now. I'd say you're fairly loaded up in the soil. I doubt the grass is using all that yet.
Right. Yeah, I did a soil sample test in the spring, and I was really low on nitrogen. That's the only reason and I know it gets kind of weird in a sample test for nitrogen, but that's kind of why I've been hitting it heavier than instead of every 2 weeks, I did every week just to try to catch up a little on the nitrogen.
Sure. And there's that methodology called the fall nitrogen blitz, right? And it tends to align better with Kentucky bluegrasses than other. And since you are dominant KBG, then I think that makes sense. It's probably a little excessive, but you're not going to hurt anything. How about that? It may be a little wasteful on the dollar side of things, but in terms of like hurting anything, hell no, you're good. Run with it.
Sure. And then last question. So I'm manual reel mowing, mostly to avoid leaving ruts in the yard and to keep it a little bit lower to let any late bloomers germinate and sprout. What should my winter height of cut be? Over 2 inches?
It could be, yeah. I'd say anywhere between your 1 and 2 inch mark. You call it good. I don't think there's just like a specific number you need to target. I'm thinking about up in your area, you probably have to deal with a little bit of snow mold, microdocium patch, and I don't know of any specific research that correlates to mowing height. So yeah, I think, yeah, and that may be wrong. That may be something you want to look up. Is snow mold influenced by mowing height in Kentucky bluegrass? That's probably like the phrase I would Google, and see if you see anything out there. If you don't, then just pick a height of cut and call it good. I would not sweat that piece of it too much.
Okay, yeah, just don't leave it too low. Don't leave it too long.
Sure.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, man.
Obviously, I watch all your stuff, so I'll keep watching. But I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for calling in. I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, man. Take care.
All right. We'll talk to you.
Bye.
Oh, there, it's amazing how many people have got the Kentucky Blue. I say it's amazing how many people. It's not. I forget that there's a whole world out there outside of the South, and it's amazing to me. The redneck in me comes to the surface again. If you feel like calling in, by all means, feel free. I do not bite. I'll be friendly with anybody, whether I agree with you or not. I'll be friendly with you. That's actually not even a snide comment. I'm being dead serious about that. 304-804-7277, 304-80-GRASS is the call-in number. Feel free to call in. Caller, you're on the air. How can I help?
Yeah, I was wanting to know how you feel about um, pre-emergence on Centipede and St. Augustine grass.
Sir, you said the bad word that gives me real bad anxiety.
What's that?
Centipede.
Oh,
You
come
say
on, Matt, help me
centipede,
out.
I start sweating, man. I'm telling you. Ah, ah. Fall pre-emergence on Centipede and St. Augustine, in my opinion, you got to do it. You got to do it.
Okay.
As far as what to use, being that this is the fall and you've got a decent length of time for it to wear down, if you've got it in the budget, Spectacle, I think, would be an applicable product for this timing.
Okay.
If not, then one of your dinitroalanines like prodiamine, pendimethalin, or dimension. Here's where you have some good flexibility with Centipede and St. Augustine is you can take advantage of simazine and atrazine as well. So a
Right.
combination mix of something like prodiamine and simazine would be actually a very efficacious fall pre-emergent program for Centipede and St. Augustine. I had a lot of
And
success with that in the fall. I like that.
the reason I was asking is because I was watching one of your podcasts the other day with Green Doc, and y'all were talking about, using a product like Coastal. But, Green Doc said that he wouldn't use Spectacle on St. Augustine, that he'd stay away from it, even though said you could, but, he wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I think, and this is where he and I would differ. I think let me ask you this. Are you in an area that goes fully dormant?
I'm in middle Georgia, so I would say the Centipede does, but the St. Augustine will still have a little bit of green.
But you basically go a couple months without needing to cut it.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So I think in that instant, I think that's where because there's not going to be a whole lot of activity out of the plant then. And I think that reduced activity is what would increase the safety factor for using
Okay.
a Spectacle there.
Okay.
You may want to run it by him too in that particular scenario where you are facing, it may not be a hard dormancy, but you are facing a quote unquote dormant period to get his take on it. And that's something we can actually bring up on the show on Thursday because I would be curious to his input on that. But I would think that because you do slow so much in growth, and if you get it down early enough, like now, and
Yeah.
you don't have to theoretically reapply pre-emergent until mid-January, mid-February timeframe. That should be sufficient time for it to work itself out just via the half-life.
Okay. And the rate you think is maybe 2.5, 3 ounces?
I would say 3. Yeah, I wouldn't go out there and bomb it with a 6-ounce rate or anything like that.
Right. Do split apps, maybe?
It depends on what else you have in the tank. If you've got simazine in the tank with it, I would say. Actually, hell, I would just do a single application with simazine and call it good.
A single
because
application
that's
with
such
simazine.
it's such a low rate that trying to split that, I don't know how well that would compound at an ounce and a half, right? So
Yeah.
that's why I think I would just stick to a 3-ounce rate, call it good, be done with it.
Okay, and would you do that now or later in October?
Where you are, I'd be jumping on it sooner than later. That's for sure. I definitely wouldn't be going out there later than October 15th. That's for sure.
Okay. That's what I need to know, Matt.
Well, hey, I appreciate you calling in, sir. And that was not as bad of a centipede conversation as I thought we were going to have.
I know you don't like Centipede. I've heard you say that before, that you don't like it.
I don't. It just dies too randomly. I've killed too much of it accidentally over my career. It just, every time I think about it, I get nervous.
And see, that's what I'm scared of. And I'm in a predominant, Centipede, St. Augustine area. There's, hardly any Bermuda or Zosha.
Bless your heart. I do not envy you to save my life. Augusta was tough enough for me. I couldn't imagine that being the dominant grass type where I lived. To be honest, I may have to move.
And I've got to figure it out. I'm gonna go hungry.
Well, listen, I appreciate you calling in, sir. It was great talking to you.
Thanks a lot. All right, you too.
See you. I survived the centipede conversation. I was worried about it too. Let me tell you, I was nervous. Woo! It still gives me the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it. Alex Mickle says, I cannot overcome this damn poet. 2 overseedings. Is sodding the only solution? No, you can sod it and it's still going to come back. It's just the nature of the beast. So, I don't know what to tell you, man. I apologize. Look at ethofumicate. Adopt it.
Caller.
How's it going?
What's up, dude? How are you?
Good. I'm in Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, boy. What are you doing in Savannah, Georgia?
I've been working in the turf industry for about 17 years now in private country clubs.
Lord have mercy. I was going to ask, is your name Hobie Barrett? But with that background.
No, but I do know who Hobie Barrett is.
Hobie's a great guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a pretty good guy.
I don't know. You may hate the guy, but he's always been nice to me.
I don't know. I know of him. I know his landscaping company and whatnot. I mean, it's pretty small gotcha. Industry.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. We're all inbred Eskimo brothers and sisters in some form or fashion. What's going on, man? What can I do for you? I don't know if there's shit I can do for you, to be honest.
First of all, I wanted to just say what's up to some of my people, and I kind of help out run a Facebook group. It's Centipede Lawn Fanatics, and I know you're not a big fan of Centipede, but we are, and we're trying our best to help people out with Centipede because it's so fickle, and I feel like we've been doing a pretty good job of helping people this year with it, because we're getting a lot of good results and a lot of good feedback from people improving their lawns this year. And I don't know, it just feels good to help people out. And I've been watching and listening to your podcast lately, and it's amazing to hear your story and hear when you started Carbon Earth and everything.
Well, I appreciate that, and thank you for putting the time in on the Centipede piece of things, because I don't know if you heard me talking to that guy before you called in. I just
He was actually in Georgia.
Miss it. Yeah, yeah. I had the time I spent in Augusta was brutal. And listen. I had skirted through my career without a whole lot of strife, and then all of a sudden, we had. Do you remember the ice storm that hit Georgia when it shut down the highways and stuff in Atlanta?
Yeah, definitely.
So when that hit, we had such catastrophic widespread death of centipede. St. Augustine, not so much, but especially the centipede in Augusta. There was not a day that went by that you didn't get 10 phone calls about, killing someone's lawn, or at least being accused of it. And I even had an instance where the plant board was called on me, and I had to be, it was like an investigation was launched where they even tested the chemical composition within the soil to make sure I didn't apply the wrong chemical. It was crazy. It was absolutely
For
insane.
sure.
And so that's why I don't ever want to dip my toe back in the centipede piece again. Maybe when I'm old and ornery and just an angry human being, then I will.
Yeah.
But at least for the time being, I'll let you handle all that. What was the name of the Facebook group again? Plug the hell out of it.
Centipede Lawn Fanatics.
It sounds like an oxymoron to me because I don't know how anybody could be fanatical about a centipede lawn, but I'm sure they're out there.
It's
and
crazy,
kudos
man.
to those guys.
We got some pretty good looking lawns. That's pretty amazing. Hey, but I have another question for you really quick.
Yeah, man.
All right, so I've had this discussion with tons of people in the industry. It goes back and forth. Is there actually a pre-emergent out there that controls sedges? Successfully.
No, not across the board with Carex, right?
Right.
You may have more efficacy on like just yellow sedge. Nothing is going to prevent purple. Some may have a little bit more on like some globe sedges, but as a general broad spectrum across the Carex species, hell no, not at all.
Yeah, you'd be a millionaire if you could figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some good post-emergent programs, you can trick those up and and really dial in or dial out your systemic activity that you get from those. And I'd say one of the most, closest to promising would be the Amazosulfuron. What is that? Solero from New Farm. I'd say that's probably as good of a potential pre-emergent as we could get, but that's more due to soil residual, not necessarily like preventative action that takes place.
Right.
But yeah, even then, you've got a fairly narrow label in terms of what kind of what quote unquote prevention would take place.
Right. Awesome. Well, I appreciate your input on that.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir. We'll talk to you. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
We'll see it. The Centipede Lawn Fanatics on Facebook. If you are a Centipede guy, get out there, go check it out. And who knows? I'd say that's probably a good home for you, not for me. If you feel like calling in, we don't, no harm, no foul, no biting. Check us out. 304-804-7277. And we got another caller. Caller, you're live.
Mateo Martinez. How are you, sir?
Bien, Aldo. How are you, good sir?
I'm good, sir. Thank you for asking. Before I ask my question, I just want to give a quick shout out to my Pinky in the chat. Shout out to him. And
all those Pinky.
Let me get a bunch
thank you for showing up. Do what?
Yeah. And real quick, if I can just get a bunch of 111s in the chat, that'd be awesome. All the viewers, they can just plug those in. That'd be great too. As far as my question, Matt, I am concerned over the level of NPK that's already in my soil. Actually, it's been 45 days. I'm sorry, in the last 45 days, I put out probably 2.5 pounds of nitrogen to help follow out my ground. I was killing off my Bermuda, if you remember, me asking you that before.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I need to put down anything else when I put down my ryegrass, when I seed, really. Should I, or maybe, a 1/10 of a pound of like sprayable 111 or like a 131? I don't know. What do you think?
No, because that phosphorus you've applied is not going to go anywhere. So I would, I don't know what you have, but I may or may not have some Grower G, or I don't know, maybe. Yeah, I'd say throw that down, a third of a pound of N and just call it good. Because everything else should be in place. It's not going to go anywhere unless, the top 2 inches of your lawn erodes between now and then. And as long as it doesn't, then yeah, throw down your rye, call it good. And yeah, I would not worry about it. There's probably some nitrogen loss that occurs, but everything else is going to be relatively stable in your soil type. So, yeah, no need to go gangbusters and do much of anything. In fact, I would not even apply the fertilizer with your seed. I would just put it down, let it come up, and then fertilize it, just to let it exhaust whatever remaining in is there. Um, because remember, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium do not germinate grass. Water does, and it'll
Right.
gladly grow to 2 inches tall without a lick of fertilizer being in the soil, where it's just living off the energy that is in that seed. And then from that point, you can make the determination, whether or not it needs fertilizer, and you can really do that based off aesthetic, right? If it doesn't have the color you want out of it or whatever, then by all means, then you can. But I wouldn't even put anything down with the seed.
All right, yeah. I thought about that, but again, like I said, I first went out with like a pound of 111, and then some sprayable AMS, and then another pound of some Scott's fertilizer. I was just trying to grow everything I could out of it before I sprayed it out. And I mean, everything's gone well. I'm gonna be tearing out whatever dead Bermuda I have left over, and then go heavy with the seed here, and then ride it out till the spring comes, and then see about some new Bermuda.
That's what I'm talking about. That sounds like an awesome plan. And so what's interesting here is that you are fouling, but at the same time you're also cover cropping, right? In preparation of new Bermuda coming down. So I think that's actually awesome and a great way to go about that. And as you kill off that ryegrass, you're recycling a lot of the nutrients that you've already put down. And so I think it's a very economical, environmentally conscious way to go about it. So kudos to you, sir.
Thank you. That was all. That was my only question. And before I hang up, J Pink, go fornicate yourself.
Thanks, Aldo. That's some inside baseball going on there. If you would like to call into the show, 304-80-GRASS, 304-80-GRASS, or 304-804-7277. We are taking calls live, and you can call in and ask your question. If not, no problem, no harm, no foul. We can continue answering them from the chat because they are still flying in here too. Roshan Parker said, just got germination for Kentucky bluegrass Everson midnight. How much and often should I blast it first so it grows in well before the winter? Goal is to mow at a half inch to 3/4 of an inch. It depends on your nitrogen source, right? If you're running a quick release source every 2 to 4 weeks, somewhere in there would be ample sufficient to do so. If you're applying a liquid fertilizer, then you could get a little bit more frequent, but probably not necessary. Caller, you're live.
Hey, I had a quick question for you. I got my seed in pretty late, perennial ryegrass. I live in Michigan and by Detroit, and my first frost is coming up probably around the 14th or so, and I was going to do an overseed, kind of heavy overseed, and would it be pointless for me to do that now? Is it too late? I mean, should I wait for spring?
So if you're up near Detroit, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer here. Is it too late? Yes. Could you dormant seed? Yes. The caveat with dormant seeding is how effective is it going to be? Are you okay if only 60% germinates? If it were me, and again, please understand that I have no experience in managing turf in Michigan. I lie. I have been that far before. I have been to Detroit once in 8th grade. I've never, outside of that, I've never been that far north. So this is just me going through my thought process and off the basis of the things I have looked at. And the people I know in that area that do this professionally, I would wait till spring. If you've got, like, is it fully bare right now? Like, is it completely smoked out and bare, or have you got a decent amount of grass?
No. I would say 80% of the lawn is in there, but there's some big spots, and I didn't want to seed it and then like frost comes and then have it kill anything. And right now my temperatures are high 60s, low 70s, and that's all about to disappear in probably about a week and a half. And I know it's going to slow everything down, and the sunlight isn't as much anymore. So I was just nervous because it's expensive seed, and I would just hate to just throw it away.
And with the seed shortages, how difficult it would be to just go get more, especially if this is a prize cultivar blend that you've come up with, I would just wait till spring and do it then. It's not that the frost is going to kill it. It's just that it may not germinate before then. And then it gives it time over winter to rot or whatever takes place. And then it never does establish. And then you're just out that seed and you got to do it all over again. Right.
And then one last thing, my phosphorus is high in the lawn, and I was told that, I wouldn't have to put down a starter fertilizer, that, the seed will find it, and, that it's not needed, and if I don't have to put down phosphorus, I don't want to do it. I live by the water.
Then no reason to put down phosphorus. You can grow in grass without phosphorus. If as long as you have a sufficient level in your soil, you can grow in grass without phosphorus all day long.
All right. Well, I appreciate your help, Matt. I listen to the show all the time. My name's Clint. I've actually talked to you before, and thanks for having me on the show.
Clint, damn it! I did. To be honest, when I first heard your voice, you're the lawn the neighbor dominator, right? The lawn dominator.
Yeah.
TMD. Yeah. So when you called in and I heard your voice, I at first thought you were in upstate New York, right? And then when you said Detroit, I thought to myself, I was like, I wonder if that's Clint, but I did not recognize your accent. You must have had a hard ass day at work, because your accent sounds totally different.
I just had throat surgery. So I had it 2 weeks ago, so I just got my voice back kind of. So, but you're taking calls, so I figured I'd call in. Because, I just got the seed in, and it was a pain in the ass to get, and I don't want to throw it away, so I figured I'd call and ask you.
Yeah. Wait till spring. I hope you're recovering well. Are you feeling better?
Yeah. It's been rough. The business that I'm in, it requires my voice, and it's tough being quiet. So, but I figured I'd talk for this phone call because it was so hard to get that seed. So. Figured I'd ask the pro.
Yeah, man. Rest your damn voice. Get off my damn phone. Rest your voice. Drink you a dozen hot toddies. Get real good and tipsy, and rehab that damn thing.
Will do. All right. Thanks, brother.
All right, Clint. We'll talk to you, sir.
All right. We'll see you.
See you. Everybody, go check him out. The Neighbor Dominator. I love Clint. He's a great guy. We always have great conversations when we talk on the phone. He's a good dude. If you would like to call in, we're taking calls live, 304-804-7277 or 304-80-GRASS. So anyway, back to Roshan Parker there. How often should you blast it with fert? Every 2 weeks is fine. Is a general rule of thumb. This is a very generalized. Do not take this to heart. I highly recommend going and checking out a growth probability model to make precise estimates. But as a general rule of thumb, there's no real reason from the time you seed through the end of your season to apply more than, say, 2 pounds of it. It's a very generalized rule of thumb. Understand that is. I'm not telling everybody to do that. That's a very generalized. So look at what you're doing. You can kind of base it off that. But Pace Turf, growth probability model, climate appraisal form. Check that out for more hyper specificity. Collar, you on the air.
Is this Matt, the Grass Factor Martin?
It's somebody like that of the sorts. How are you, sir? Thanks for calling in.
So I got one question for you.
What you got?
Only one. When you coming to Texas to fix my damn grass?
Oh man, listen, everything's better in Texas. I know that. I've seen it with my own two eyes. There's a piece of me
Yeah.
that's stuck here in Tennessee though, and I don't know. The question is I don't know. You know what I really want to do? What's your name, by the way?
It's Jason, buddy.
No! Is it Trailer?
Yes, sir.
It's Jason motherfucking Trailer. What is up, dude? All right, so
What's
listen
up,
here.
man?
No lie, we've been talking about this behind the scenes kind of sort of deal. We are talking about maybe doing a live show in Texas. I think that would be a lot of fun. I love Texas. I've been to Dallas once, and I had the time of my life there for the short amount of time that I was there, and I want to go back. And it doesn't necessarily have to be Dallas. I'll go anywhere. And but man, that would be great because we could bring all the cameras. We could come out to your place. We could mess around with your wild ass Bermuda, and try and figure out something to do with it. Has it? How close to shut down is it right now? Is it even growing anymore?
Yeah, it's still growing. It's getting a little close though. It's definitely slowed way down.
Yeah. So
You know, the pictures I put on Discord, man, I even sent pictures to what was his name? Lee Butler at NC State.
yeah.
And he's like, man, you got something going on, but he wouldn't say what it was. I can't figure it out, Matt.
I can't. I'm telling you, I don't know either, and I'm not sure if it's a physical problem or a pathogen problem, a disease problem. And why I'm going physical is because with the fungicides, I know you have applied to that. With the fertility program, I know you've applied to that. To be still encountering this, that's why I'm going backwards on it and going towards there's something physical taking place with it. And what I mean by physical is like some sort of weird it's struggling to establish roots in the area or something. Some sort of resistance against that plant. So, dude, Trailer, I need to come down there. We need to look at that, and we just need to go literally. I don't know. We need to do some wild ass shit to it.
Sure, man. I mean, it's got to be the crappiest variety of Bermuda I've ever seen.
And it's supposed to be 419, right?
Well, there's 419, so it's, you know, I'm kind of like the hungry southerner. I have builder grade sod, and it's like a hodgepodge. You know, it's whatever they had on the truck, and it's the worst in the back. The front yard is fairly uniform. There's a majority of 419 where there's a little bit of invading common, but in the back, man, it's like huge patches of this common stuff that just turns yellow and doesn't want to grow. And man, I've stuck my screwdriver in the ground, dug holes. I'm like, there's roots, there's moisture, not too much. I don't know, man. It's just got to be a crappy strain. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, you've got some kind of weird genetically failure of a Bermuda grass back there. How tempted are you to kill it off and put in something else in those areas?
I got a $400 bag of seed waiting for next spring.
Okay, that answers my question. Okay.
Hopefully it's going to change, man. Hopefully.
I honest to God, think it will. I think whatever. Oh my goodness! You know what just dawned on me?
What's that?
So we were talking to John Ware on Thursday, and he said he had coastal Bermuda in his lawn, and we were making fun of coastal Bermuda because it's absolutely impossible to keep that grass green, and it does not like to be cut short. It is purely for pasture and for grazing.
Dude, that's what I got, man.
I wonder if you don't have a pasture genetic, I can't even remember what all is it Tifway 318 or Tifway? It may just be Tifway. I can't remember. But I wonder if you don't have a grazing cultivar Bermuda, and that's why it does not tolerate, because you even raise your high to cut to what, 3/4 of an inch?
Yeah. And the shorter you go, man, that stuff starts checking out. It starts receding, like worse than my hairline. I mean, it's bad.
Have you seen mine? So I've got common here, and it does not like anything below 0.6 it starts to get squirrely, right? So, I don't think what you have is just a true native common. I think you've got a pasture grass in there.
Maybe that's why the front does so much better, because the mixture that's in there, man, it doesn't seem to mind it. It keeps on rocking while the back is like, what is this patchy cow grass? It just doesn't look right, man.
I tell you what, let it grow to 8 inches, get you a cow, and see if it just doesn't look awesome.
It probably will. Though it might look. All right, man. I gotta say one thing.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, and it's just I freaking love you, man.
I freaking love you,
a long
Trailer.
time ago.
I appreciate you calling in. This has been the highlight of my show. For everybody listening at home, Trailer goes back to the damn radio days when we did this on radio and all that. So, and this is the first time I've ever talked to you on the phone, and it's great. It's funny. On your birthday one time, your wife sent me an email and was like, "Can you give a shout out to my husband?" He said it's part of his routine when he gets home from work. He sits down on the back porch, turns it on, and has him an adult beverage, and just vegetates for the rest of the day. I was like, damn, hell yeah, that's my guy right there.
I enjoyed that show, man. I enjoy you. I love you guys and your show, and just keep it up, brother.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jason. It was great talking to you.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.
All right, we'll see you. There he is. Mr. Beautiful himself, Jason Trailer. We're going to go a little bit longer here before we start winding it down, because why not? We can, right? So if you would like to call in, 304-80 GURAS, 304-80 GURAS, or 304-804-7277 is the number to call in and be on air. And if you don't want to, no problem. I'm trying to get to things in the chat right now, but I am so far behind on anything that was even asked. I have no idea where to look. I don't even know where to look. It looks like the chat has kind of been all over the place. Look at I'm scrolling up now and I see, here we go. 888 Huskers. I want to know your thoughts on the difference between applying T-Nex foliar versus a root zone application consumer product from Bayer like Slow Motion. Okay, so T-Nex has the highest level of efficiency applied foliarly because it is primarily absorbed through the leaves. So there may be some uptake that occurs through presence at the crown, but for the most part, to get a true understanding and response from it, a foliar application is necessary. Because especially when you start moving into predictive modeling based on growing degree days and stuff like that, and you may catch yourself coming out of rebound and you didn't reapply quick enough because you didn't have the appropriate rate, and so you truly don't know what suppression is until you have applied as a foliar. Well, I thought that was another one, but that wasn't it there. Oh, corn! Damn it, Mark! I'm sorry, I missed it on the dude in Savannah about grinding on that Flex 21. That is my fault. I don't think that I've ever seen Centipede or Zoysia grass. I also didn't realize there were so many damn weeds. Yes, there are a ton of weeds and there's nothing fun about it. Is that it? I think that's it. J Pink, am I glossing over any obvious questions here? I'm kind of scrolled up far on.
There was one, and I know we touched on Solero, but we had one that said started using Solero in 2020 after 2 8-ounce an acre spot sprays, one in July, one in August. I had 0 sedge for 11 and a half months on normally sedge happy lawns. Was this a fluke? The label doesn't say it has pre-emergent. I was just wondering if maybe making a post-emergent app with hopes of pre-emergent effects would have anything to do related to that. What rate would probably work? What timing might work? Sedge service calls are straight from hell in July and August.
Okay, so no, it was not a fluke. And the reason why I talk about Solero and pre-emergent activities is amazosulfuron. I did a video about it, all about Solero, so you can go back and watch that. And I cite this particular study. Solero was researched as a pre-emergent for sedge in rice. And I think it was conducted by University of Arkansas. And so that's where I got that into my head and started dissecting about that imidazolinone chain attached to that sulfonylurea molecule is what likely gives it the action on the sedge, and then of course the type of soil residual we get out of sulfonylureas, right? So that basically I used a study to try and make sense of the composition of the actual chemical itself, and so it does make sense to me that way. I 100% do not think it's a gimmick. What you will see is that in their trials they ran, I believe, a higher rate. So I think they started at 8 ounces and went all the way up to 16, what would equate to 16 ounces of product per acre, were the rates they use, and they did show effective pre-control of sedge. Now, that being said, there were some sedge species that were more impacted than others. It was not 100% across the line. So, yeah, I agree 100%. Let's see. I see Johnny Fesky. That's funny. That is funny. All right. Well, if that is it, then I say, damn it, we did our best. We're coming in right at an hour, so I think perfect timing. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today, and I can't wait to do this again. We'll have us another little call-in show, because I'm not gonna lie, I have a lot of fun doing this. This reminds me so much of the old radio days that I can't help but do it. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you on Thursday. Coming up, man, we've got an extra special guest. We've got another Tennessee man, Telly Coleman. So don't miss it. Then beyond that, Sunday for the members, we'll be recording our next episode of Burn and Return. We'll check y'all on the flip side. Take it easy.